El planeta podría ser considerado una emergencia humanitaria. Las tensiones producidas por el cambio climático, el hambre, las guerras y la pandemia muestran que sus efectos negativos y las soluciones son desiguales. A partir de esta problemática, nace el Educar para la Vida, un evento virtual del 2 al 12 de noviembre. Contaremos con más de 50 conferencistas de diferentes lugares del mundo. Los invitamos a inscribirse a nuestra conferencia y a seguirnos en nuestras redes sociales @educarparalavida en Instagram y @educarparalavida2021 en Facebook. Visita nuestra página web educarparalavida.co.
Buenos días a todas y todas. Los saludamos desde la Secretaría de Educación de Bogotá en el Encuentro Mundial Educar para la Vida, que es una movilización cultural a nivel mundial sobre la educación para la vida como clave para la construcción de un futuro colectivo y respeto por el bien común. El día de hoy tenemos una gran invitada. Su nombre es Nametso Manyepedza. Ella es de Botsuana, es licenciada en Seguridad de Redes e Informática Forense, fundadora y CEO de la empresa Cyberlink Botswana, vicepresidenta de la ONG Female Founder Initiative Botswana, que tiene como objetivo mejorar la vida y negocios de mujeres emprendedoras. Teniendo en cuenta pues esta calidad de invitada, le quiero dar una cálida bienvenida. Nametso, welcome. It's a great pleasure having you with us today, and you can speak to all our Colombian and international visitors.
Okay, thank you again for the invite. Like you have already said, my name is Nametso. I'm a tech entrepreneur in Botswana. And today I would like to talk about education and technology, but specifically redesigning education and reimagining education in our world. So a recent study by UNICEF has identified or indicated that at least 1 billion children around the world attend school. But them attending school or going to school doesn't mean they're actually learning. So we mostly noticed this gap during COVID and the COVID lockdowns, that a lot of undeveloped countries in the world have not caught up with the digital world. So in addition to lack of trained teachers, inadequate learning materials, makeshift classes, and poor sanitation facilities, COVID-19 had shattered schools, disrupted learning, and the biggest gap that we have.
Can you silence your microphone, please, Julian? Excuse me, Nametso, for the interruption.
Okay, no problem. So as I was saying, COVID-19 made us notice this huge gap of how most countries are still caught up in the old type of learning, or they're not caught up with new age learning or the digitalized learning. So what can we do to reimagine education? We need to now understand that modern education is about building accredited skills, reading and writing, but most importantly, digital solutions, problem-solving skills, creativity, and critical thinking. So the availability of potentials of technology materials in schools, or what we call digital learning, can actually change education to a bigger level, can take it to a level that can actually help kids and children and give them a chance to a brighter future. So our biggest question is, how can technology actually improve learning in schools, improve education for small undeveloped countries to catch up with first world countries? The first one has to be, so digitalizing education allows students to learn more and learn better. What this means is digital learning allows students to learn more about the world around them, while giving them better information and accessible of tools online and offline. So they'll be able to actually see real life examples, either through watching YouTube channels, either through communicating with kids all over the world and see exactly how they're learning and receiving their education. This can also help improve our education curriculum for example, in undeveloped countries, that education curriculum might be dated back to the 90s. And like I said, the world is moving, technology is improving. We also have to improve our curriculum to catch up with the world. So secondly, digitalizing education in schools, especially primary schools or young high schools and young children, it provides handy tools and opportunities for teachers while it's increasing collaboration and communication. Because we know that communication is a very important or essential part of any activity, especially in education. So in effective communication might lead to a lot of lagging behind. So with technology now, communication gaps are filled up and bridged up, and a flow of knowledge can be smoothed up. You are able to communicate, like for example, right now I'm communicating with people in Colombia, and I'm able to learn more about their culture. I have more opportunities to learn from them as much as they're learning from you. So opening that up for students and young children might give them a bigger picture of how the world is actually set up, allow them to dream more and actually want to be more in life, because now they're able to see how different careers turn out. So another thing is curiosity. Children are very curious people. So digitalizing that education allows them to feed that curiosity and learn more about what exactly is happening around them, because it allows them to engage with more people. It allows them to get second opinions from everyone around the world. So those are a few things that technology or digitalizing education can bring or make easier for us to improve education. So the most important thing is, how can us as individuals help digitalize education? We need to normalize the digital world in education, because like I said from the beginning of this presentation, is during COVID we struggled. A lot of students lost out on education. They lost out on learning because 90% of them in our country weren't able to even navigate a laptop. And worse enough, there weren't enough laptops or tablets to even go around the country to allow students to learn from home or to receive digital education. So we need to start there as individuals and normalize digital learning at our houses, in our homes, and so that the government can see how interested we are in this. With that being said, my presentation is not a lot because of my infection. But lastly, I want to talk about how although digitalizing education is good, it can also have the side effects or the disadvantages, and how we can carefully strive away from that. So while digitalizing education can help us and can improve our education level in these undeveloped countries, it can also bring disadvantages such as laziness. Students will start relying now on everything to be done for them, by them, through the internet. So as much as we would be introducing digital education to schools, we should also come up with ways to try curb anything that might bring disadvantages to these young kids through the digital world or the technology world. So with that being said, that's all on my side. I had a brief presentation. Thank you.
I was mute. Thank you, Nametso. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Okay, hello. I think it's better with without my headphones. Okay, I was hearing you so low. That's the reason, because I was trying to use it. Well, it's really interesting to have you explaining us about the importance of the digitalization in the educational activities for kids, for small kids, and teenagers too, and how digitalization helps to improve their curiosity and give them tools to improve their capacities and to build their knowledge. I want to know about your experience in Botswana. Can you share with us how do you develop your initiatives in a developing country like Botswana, and how can we do here in Colombia to learn about your important experience in your country in this area?
All right. No, thank you for that. We mostly, like I mentioned, noticed this huge gap during COVID-19. We were forced to work from home. We were our students were forced to attend schools from home. We noticed that it was mostly accessible or easier for schools in the city or for private schools to actually navigate that. Now, 70% of our schools, are not private schools, they're government schools. So we noticed there that there was no digitalization. There were most of these kids never even attended computer studies or just on a mere computer. So we wanted the foundation that we have. We want to start small. We want to start small by introducing just a computer lab where students can switch on a computer, learn how to navigate a computer, introduce tablets, get donations, give students tablets. But our biggest problem in our country is currently internet. Well, even though we want to digitalize schools and education, our problem is internet and actually being able for those kids to go through all the materials that is available online, because internet is scarce. But we still have a long way to go as a third world country, but there's hope, because there are people like me and my other colleagues that are willing to start something or somewhere in villages and navigate it to the cities. So it becomes easier for countries like Colombia, because they're developing quickly, they have a way to development. So as much as they may be disadvantaged digital-wise, they are way better than most countries, undeveloped countries this side. So it will be easier to start something and actually push it through and be able to have kids receive digital education, especially from kindergarten, primary schools to high schools.
Okay, Nametso, thank you. Here in Colombia, we notice the same gaps because of the pandemic, because we are a medium developed country, but we have some regions. We experience the same issues that you mentioned, like poor connectivity to the internet and low access to tablets or PCs. And we had news information about the kids in the when the pandemic make us to close the schools and to switch to the virtual school. It was easier for private schools and schools in the cities, but we experienced issues about the connectivity for kids and teenagers in the rural areas and in some schools here in the cities too. What is the experience? Oh, we lost Nametso. Ok, estamos perdimos la conexión con nuestra invitada. So, Julián. Perdimos a nuestra invitada. ¿Qué hacemos? ¿Despedimos? Ok. Si no, pues...
Educar para la vida es amar el mundo, las otras especies y a la naturaleza. Es dejar el mundo en las mejores manos. I was speaking about that we have the same gaps here in Colombia in the rural areas because of the pandemic. When we need to close the schools, we need to switch to virtual education. And for some schools, it was easier because they were private schools with more resources. But other schools, public schools, and some private schools in those areas experience a lot of problems on issues getting the connection for the kids. And it was not only the access to the tablets or the PCs or maybe the smartphones. It was about connectivity because of the in some places here in Colombia, more of the rural areas, they don't have the internet connections that allows them to study and to have a stable connection in order to learn and to attend to virtual classes. So it was an issue, and we realized that we are not as developed in technology that we were thinking about that. But I think it was an opportunity to recognize the problems we are experiencing in that area and work in order to develop new ideas about how to give them for these people who needs this kind of technology to improve their education. It is so important, but that's the reason because it's so interesting to speak with you because, well, we have a lot of experience in security and in initiatives to give this through technology to bring people the possibilities to improve their life and to build better business for women who are starting. So do you think that in this context it is possible to have some kind of startups that can work in the hand with the governments in order to bring technology to improve education in these areas? And if you have done this in Botswana, it will be interesting to hear about that.
Okay, so it's very crucial to involve like startup companies to, especially technology startup companies, because as much as we are saying not enough kids are receiving the digitalized education, it's also because we haven't caught up with how technology can also be a big career. So startups can usually work to come and encourage students to start focusing or looking at careers under the technology world, to grow their interest, to grow their love for just holding a tablet and exploring it and see, oh, this is how you can switch on the video, this is how you can contact my teacher, this is how I can email my teacher my homework, this is how I can scan my homework and save it up for revision in case it rains and I don't know, in case I lose the paper. So we these initiatives in touch with mostly with Ministry of Education can just start some foundations and start growing the love, start making them more interested in the digital world or technology. Because for you to also win is to make them fall in love or make them more interested in technology, as much as we say we have to make them interested in education. So here in Botswana, what I have or what my company hasn't started. It will start next year, March 2022. We plan on starting something first in the small villages this side, start something that's very similar to math and science, that is called Young Ladies in Technology, where we focus in trying to get these young ladies into programming, into Java programming or language programming, into cyber security, and open them up more to the possibilities of what they can do if they actually follow or start something in the cyber world. So hopefully by next year, when that happens, it will open up more eyes to parents and to other stakeholders to be interested in pushing this initiative that we have that is called digitalizing education in undeveloped countries.
Thank you, Nametso. It's so interesting to know the plans for the new year, and it is important. And the thing that you underline about how give them training and programming in order to develop to build the basis to develop more business related with technology. It is important for this. So in order to go back to education for life, technology, I think, it's one of the most inclusive tools that we can share to change the life or to improve the life of a lot of people. So how we can build next with Botswana in order to exchange this experience with teachers in different regions from Botswana and Colombia, using these possibilities that you have worked in your country, and we can share the experience we have in Colombia.
Okay, so I think this experience can work with how doctors I'm going to give an example about Doctors Without Borders, how we have doctors from Cuba and Colombia and all Central Americans to come here and share their knowledge and improve whatever they want to improve here, and give the government an idea of what can happen, what can be improved. But now, because of how everything has changed, travel restrictions, and how you can't just travel with a young child, 10 young children to another country and then come back with them. This is where technology can come in. This is whereby teachers in Colombia and teachers in Botswana can have a union to share ideas, to share improvements on how a syllabus can be improved, curriculum can merge with technology, and have small groups that can allow kids to just share their knowledge and information. Because one thing we noticed is no matter how taught you are, when you don't have exposure to what's happening in the outside world, you never know exactly what's happening, especially to unprivileged kids who won't have an opportunity of like sitting here like I'm here talking to you all the way in Colombia, or actually traveling there and experiencing the education, experiencing the culture. So now technology can allow us to keep in communication, share our ideas, share ways how we can improve this, in the end, merge or benchmark from each other's curriculum, education curriculum.
Okay, thank you, Nametso. It's really important to notice how technology open windows to meet people from different worlds and to share knowledge. Remember, long time ago, I met a teacher, an English teacher. He was studying in a program in the United States, and he has a project, a small project, but it was really, really impactful because he was putting together methodologies to teach English. And his project was so simple but so important because he was trying to find the way to share that methodology to other teachers. In order to bring them better methodology and strategies to teach English here in Colombia, because there are not more in that moment. Yes, it was important. So this kind of things and the way that we can share our knowledge and our experience with other teachers around the world, and our experience through the technology can create a big movement and a big share and big changes at the end in the way that people do. So sharing this, I think the importance of technology, and I don't know, but I think you will agree with me, is the possibility to access to information and to share the knowledge. Everyone can access with a simple connection.
And I think it decreases culture shock. Like you said, how not enough schools in Colombia speak English. So it allows to teach people around the world that, okay, you're going to go to Colombia, you're going to meet 70% of people speaking their native language. You meet either Spanish or whatever language they're speaking, and then it becomes easier. There won't be no culture shock when we exchange things. When I recommend something to you, I'll understand more about your culture, you understand more about my culture, because of how we can access information through the internet, stories, books, and researches about schools there and about schools here. So it becomes easier.
Oh yes, yes, Nametso. It's easier, and I think we have a bright future in the with the technology and the digitalization for the education, because it will be more maybe democratic, because everyone can access to them, and it's so important for this. Well, Nametso, I don't know if you want to say something to conclude, because we are finishing the time we have for this conversation.
No, all I have to say is let's start this digitalization and see where we can go, because I'm sure we can go very far as like we can end being a connected continent. So that's all I wanted to say, and thank you for inviting me to this beautiful initiative.
Dear Nametso, it was amazing to have this moment to share with you and to know your experience and your knowledge about this area and this, and to share with the people who are looking for information about how digitalization and how technology can improve education and access to education. So thank you very much for being with us. You are very welcome to come to Colombia when you have the possibility to come. I'm here to Bogota. We will be happy to have you.
Thank you. I'll be sure to come there very soon.
Thank you, Nametso.
Thank you so much.
Bueno, concluimos una interesante conversación con Nametso Manyepedza, quien nos explicó toda la importancia de la tecnología en lo que tiene que ver con la digitalización y cómo la tecnología permite mayor acceso a la educación, el intercambio de conocimiento en distintas áreas, en distintas comunidades, permite desarrollar la curiosidad y generar impacto en las comunidades educativas, en los niños, en los jóvenes, en los adolescentes, y les genera mayor acceso y oportunidades de educación. Nos compartió la experiencia de lo que ella venía trabajando en Botswana con su empresa, con su emprendimiento, y el trabajo que han hecho conjuntamente para llevar pues, la digitalización y la tecnología al área pues, de educación para mejorar la vida pues, de las personas en Botswana. Adicionalmente a esto fue muy importante darnos cuenta de cómo compartimos algunas problemáticas. En Botswana pues, es un país que está pues, en vías de desarrollo, y nosotros en Colombia, a partir de la pandemia, pues también experimentamos los mismos issues relacionados con acceso a la tecnología y acceso al Internet como tal. Ha sido muy importante contar con esta experiencia compartida, darnos cuenta pues, que en otros países pues, también tenemos problemáticas comunes, y cómo entre todos de manera colectiva podemos pensar para mejorarlos. Muchísimas gracias a todos por su atención, por acompañarnos, y muchas gracias a Nametso nuevamente. Buenos días.
Educar para la vida es amar el mundo, las otras especies y a la naturaleza. Es dejar el mundo en las mejores manos.